up, guys? It's your girl Ashrey, and I'm back with another video. This is Family or Fiance, episode 13. Now, let me just say, I apologize for last week not putting out a Family or Fiance. I don't have 1,000 subscribers yet, so I could not put on the community tabs. But if you guys could just tell your friends to subscribe, tell your family, your mom, your brother, your sisters to subscribe to my channel, then I could have 1,000 subscribers, and I could have the community tab, and I could tell you guys when I'm going to upload and when I'm not going to upload, or if I have something that comes up. So what happened was that I was at my babe's grandmother's 80th birthday party. So by the time I got home, I wasn't able to watch it. I tried to watch it later. I fell asleep, and after a while, I was just like, you know what, forget it. So, but I apologize to you guys, those who look for my consistent uploads. I'm sorry, I apologize. And if you can hear my voice, it's still in and out, but I'm dedicated to this, so I have to keep my videos consistent. So I'm just gonna fight through it. All right, let's get into the episode. This episode is Lashonda and Dre. They've been engaged for 10 months. She has 2 daughters from a previous relationship. I think she said they're 8 and 9.5. He is a celebrity DJ. And she says because of his job, she had to learn to trust him. He is planning to adopt her girls. And she really doesn't care for his best friend, Brendon, and she feels like he's a bad influence. And I was like, well, I'm not going to judge Brendon yet. Let me get into it. Excuse me. Let me get into the episode. Let me see how Brendon acts or whatever. And then I'll say how I feel about Brendon. And by the time we get to the end of this review, you'll see how I feel about Brendon, okay? So they meet with Tracy like all the couples do, and Tracy, they talk about the relationship. Tracy tells them that they have to their task. Tracy tells Dre that he has to give her family, Lashonda's family, a 5-year plan, and Lashonda has to play Fear of Hats with Dre's family. So basically, they're both answering questions to each other's families. It's just named in different ways. They just have different names for it. Basically the same thing, kind of like. So they have their family meeting, and I'm sorry, I'm all over the place right now. Okay, they have the family meeting, and they're asking everyone how they feel about their engagement. And Dre's sister says that she just doesn't want Lashonda to hurt Dre. I don't know why she feels like Lashonda will hurt Dre. I don't know what the situation is, but she just says she doesn't want Lashonda to hurt Dre. Her sisters feel like, that she shuts down easily, and she needs to be able to accept his lifestyle. So that's their concerns. His mom said that she is concerned about the adoption, and her dad is concerned about the adoption as well. They don't want to feel like their biological dad is being pushed out of the kids' lives. But Dre addresses that later on in the episode. So her dad told him, like, if y'all can't trust each other, if she can't trust you, then y'all don't need to get married. And which is true, because trust is a big part of any relationship. And if you can't trust the person that you're with, the relationship is not going to work. It's not. So at the end of the day, if I can't trust you, I don't need to be with you. And I agree with that. If she can't trust him, if she can't trust his lifestyle, then they don't need to be together at all. Okay? They don't need to be together at all. So Brendon goes on to say that with the lifestyle that Dre lives, that if he were to have an infidelity, would Lashonda be able to forgive him and move past it? And I'm thinking, like, Why would he say that? And her dad was like, so you asking him you asking her if he cheats, will she be able to forgive him? And he's like, yes. And I'm like, bro, it's like you encouraging this man to cheat. Like, I think at this point right now, Brandon just does not want Dre and Lashonda to be together. I think Brandon he's toxic. This is my opinion right now. He's toxic, and he just doesn't want, he wants Brandon to live this single lifestyle, but Brandon has made the decision to get married. So if that was his decision, you need to respect his decision and stop disrespecting his woman, because at the end of the day, that's going to be his wife. So they're doing their task, and the first question that her family asked Dre is about the adoption. Her sister about the adoption, and then his family is talking to her, and his sister keeps saying that she feels like she will hurt Dre, and she basically was saying like she knows that everybody disagrees with Dre adopting the girls, but she said the reason why she wants Dre to adopt the girls is because she wants Dre to have legal say when it comes to the girls. If anything happens to her, he will have custody of the girls. He will be able to make decisions for the girls. That is why they're having that is why they want to do the legal adoption. And Brandon just is basically saying they have a private conversation about the adoption of the girls, and they basically said that everyone's judging and jumping to conclusions, and no one is really trying to hear their sides of why they want Dre to adopt the girls. But at the end of the day, it's nobody's business but Dre and Lashonda. They're the ones that have to make this decision. Dre and Lashonda have to make this decision. So it's nobody. I mean, I understand everybody's concerned. I understand that, but it's nobody's business. Like, if they feel like they have a handle on it, then so be it. And when Dre is talking to her family, he tells them, he's like, I'm not trying to step on nobody's toes here, okay? When I came into the picture, their dad wasn't there. So nothing has changed. I'm not trying to push him out, but at the end of the day, I'm the one that's been there. I'm the one that's been taking care of these girls. So I feel like it's my right to be able to adopt them if I want to. And I feel, and me personally, I was speaking as Dre, but now I'm speaking as me. Me personally, I feel like if he's been the one that's been there, he's been the one that's been taking care of them, then yeah, he should be able to adopt them. Of course, they're gonna need, the say of the other dad, of their biological dad. But at the end of the day, if their biological dad isn't really there, what much say does he have in this situation? Dre tells her family that she feels like her dad doesn't support her, and that he knows that Lashonda has a temper. But I like the way that Dre handles Lashonda. And I don't mean handle her in a bad way, in a controlling way or anything like that. When she has her outbursts or when she gets angry, he doesn't yell. He doesn't get angry with her. He stays level. He stays level-headed. He stays calm. He talks to her, and he basically talks her through it. And I like that, because two hotheads won't get nowhere. The fact that he can sit there and talk to her and calm her down when she's upset says a lot about him and the type of person that he is. And so they start talking about the comment that Lashonda is talking to Brandon's family, not Brandon's family, Dre's family, and she brings up the fact that she doesn't like that Brandon made an inappropriate comment about her child. So basically, he was saying that one child is tall and skinny and she's pretty. And no, let me back up. He said the girls look very different. Do they have the same dad? First of all, that's the first thing. You shouldn't be worried about who fathered my children. That's first. Second, he goes on to say one is very tall and skinny and pretty, and the other one has a great personality. As a woman, I would take that as you're saying that my child is ugly. That's what I would take that as. As a woman, I would take that as you're calling my child ugly. And this is a conversation that he was having with Dre. That Dre, she feels like Dre did not defend her or the girls in that moment. And it turns into this big thing where Traci ends up telling him that he didn't stand up for her and he was wrong and he should have said something to Brendon and he should have told Brendon that he was wrong in that situation. And as a mother, like, I am not a biological mother. I don't have kids of my own, but I have Tori. That's my baby. That's from my previous relationship. You know, if you guys were on my channel like way back a couple of years ago, you know the relationship I was in. And I have Kamari, who's my nephew. I love them both. Love them both wholeheartedly like they're my own. Okay? If somebody was to say something inappropriate about either one of them, it would be hell to pay. So I know how Lashonda feels. I know how she feels. And I did have a situation like where something inappropriate was said about Tori, but it's a matter of a fact that the person that said it, I have no dealings with that person whatsoever at all. So I left that up to his mother, his other mother, his biological mother, to address that situation. And however she handled that situation, that was on her. But I know if I would had dealings with that person, I know how I would have handled the situation. But anyways, moving on. So she feels like Brendon does not respect her. She feels like Brendon is rude. She feels like Brendon just doesn't respect her relationship. And at this point, I agree. So they're eating dinner and they start having a conversation, and then Brendon makes a statement, and then that opens the door for them to start talking about the situation with Brendon saying the inappropriate comment about her daughter. And so listening to the conversation, her dad comes in to say, oh no, y'all misunderstood Brendon, y'all misread him. And then Lashonda gets upset, understandably so, because she feels like her dad should be defending her dad should be on her side in this situation. And I totally agree. Her dad should be on her side. Those are his granddaughters. You should not condone anyone, especially a male, to say inappropriate things about your grandchildren. And that is your daughter. Have her back at some point in this situation. Like, I just feel like he doesn't have her back at all. And so after a while, Lashonda talks to Brendon. She tells Brendon that she feels like that he doesn't defend her at all. They go to meet with Traci the next day, and Lashonda is still angry. And that's when Traci tells him that even though he didn't pick a side, he did pick a side. Even though he says he didn't pick a side, he did pick a side. Because when he didn't defend her, he picked a side. He picked the side of... He picked Brendon's side. What is going on? Oh, excuse me. He picked Brendon's side. When he did not defend Lashonda and when he did not defend the girls. She told him if if he was going to be a father to those girls, he needs to defend them. He needs to defend them at all costs, because those are his girls, and he should not allow anyone to say anything disrespectful about his girls. So she tells him he needs to have a conversation with Brendon and tell Brendon what it is. And she tells Lashonda needs to have a conversation with her dad. Now, Lashonda did try to have a conversation with her dad, but her dad was not trying to have it. She told her dad that she pushes his buttons, because in the beginning of the episode, dad came in to say that Lashonda doesn't respect him. But Lashonda feels like her dad doesn't respect her. So she feels like her dad pushes her buttons, and they're trying to talk about the situation in their relationship, and her dad walks away from the situation. Like, he just basically, doesn't want to hear anything that she has to say at all. So her sisters come in, and Dre is trying to talk to her dad, and they're talking about the situation, and they're telling him that they basically feel like he raised them. He admitted that he raised them like boys. He raised them tough, but right now they need his support emotionally, and he said he cannot be held responsible for female emotions because females are too emotional. I'm like, really? If you felt that way, I just feel like he wanted boys, and he got girls, so he raised his girls like they were boys. And her dad is not supportive of her in this situation. Like, they have a lot of issues that they need to get through. Brendon and Dre are having a conversation, and he's speaking about Lashonda's relationship with her dad, basically saying if she doesn't respect her dad, she's not going to respect Dre. They go on to say a lot of other things, and Lashonda is hearing the conversation upstairs, but they don't realize that Lashonda hears the conversation. So basically, she overheard the whole conversation, whatever the conversation was. She was not happy about it. Traci asked her if she would allow Brendon to break off their engagement, and she said yes, she would at this point, because she just was over it. And Dre said, well, if she feels like that, we don't need to get married. And she was like, well, then we won't. But they came back together, and they talked about it, and Traci told him that he needs to start standing up for her, and he needs to choose a side. He needs to either choose Brendon or Lashonda. He needs to figure it out. Like, he can have that friendship, but she's number one, not him, not Brendon. So the agreement is that Brendon just won't be in the wedding at this point. They go to the blessing ceremony, and they try to get their family's blessings, and pretty much everyone says yes, except Brendon. He gives this roundabout response that he didn't say yes, but he didn't say no. But the way that he said it made it seem like he was trying to say no, but he just didn't come outright and say no, type of situation. And then so they just came to the conclusion right there that Dre was like, you're like a brother to me, but at this point, this is kind of like the end of our friendship. And I didn't want them to end that way, but it just seems like Brendon is toxic, and Brendon does not want Dre and Lashonda's relationship to work. But in the end, they got most of their family's blessings except for Brendon. They did get married, so that's 3 couples that have gotten married right now this season, or season B, I think. That was so weird they called it season 1B instead of season 2. But anyways, in this part of the season, 3 people have gotten married. Brendon did end up being in the wedding. He did end up being in the wedding. But that was the end of that episode. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you have not already done so. If no one else tells you that they love you, Asheray loves you. And I will see you guys in the next video. Love you. Bye.